Yeah.
We wanted to talk about Ozempic and other weight loss drugs and some of the struggles that people have with weight loss tonight. Um, I guess I come from most people who read my stuff know that I've had binge eating problems, but they don't know your story. So maybe if we went over your past a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've always struggled with my weight. I have PCOS, and I obviously had it since I was in puberty, but nobody knew. I started gaining a lot of weight as soon as I hit puberty. I developed acne. I've got, thin hair. I've had irregular cycles, and I did have some mild infertility. Very mild though. So, anyway, I've always struggled with my weight. I got influenced by diet culture. So many did, and
Yeah.
that really was damaging in many ways. So I'll just say that since I was 15 years old, I was on diets. I kept yo yo dieting for so many years. If I didn't like how I looked, I put on so much weight, I would say, oh, okay, now time to put myself through an extreme caloric restriction. We're talking like 1,000 calories a day.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, I know, not very smart, but that was back then. So of course I dropped the weight, and then I'd go get complacent and start eating, emotionally eating whatever, mindlessly
Hmm.
snacking. The weight would come on. So you know the story. But then things took a turn for the worse when I was in caregiver burnout, and I ended up 300 pounds, the heaviest I've ever been. And that was a nightmare. I can tell you right now that really was ugly. My eating habits were absolutely horrific. I probably consumed about 4,000 calories, 5,000
Mm.
calories if I think back, and the idea of it just makes me kind of sick, right?
Yeah.
Um anyway, after that ended, I made a decision to lose the weight. I put myself on a 1,500 calorie diet, which was probably really stupid as well. Because if I was consuming, say, 4,000 calories, I probably should have started on what, 2,500 calories. And just,
Yeah.
yeah, so much that I know now that I didn't. So yeah, of course I dropped the weight. But then pandemic happened. I put a lot of it back on, and then in what was it, late 2022 or very early 2023. No, it was late 2022, around the time that my beloved Bijan passed, sadly. My mother called me and she says, "Oh, I was watching on 60 Minutes. They're talking about these weight loss drugs." And I'm like, "Oh, I think I've heard about them."
Hmm.
So I went to see my doctor about it because I hadn't been to the doctor because of the pandemic and everything for a while. So my doctor said, well, we can't just hand it to you like candy. We have to make sure that we're giving it to someone who needs it, because if you're diabetic, then yeah, you do qualify. So it's like, okay, well, check my blood sugar. Sure enough, I just learned I was diabetic, right?
Mm.
So I ended up on Ozempic, and I started on obviously the base dose. I didn't really have too many side effects other than constipation, a little bit of heartburn. I got lucky with that, but this was, say, February, March 2023. I started to lose weight. I think I lost about 9 pounds since I saw him in January
Hmm.
2023, and then I've lost about 70 pounds. I still got about maybe 30 more to go. For sure 20, and I'll see how I feel after losing 20. But anyway, here's the thing. Ozempic has helped me because I never really had a healthy relationship with food. But Ozempic didn't do the work. Okay. And I think this is where a lot of the misconception is. Ozempic didn't do the work for me. It's a tool. It's a tool. It helped me develop a healthier relationship with food. I'm not restricting myself to 1,000 calories a day anymore. I consume around 15 to 1,700 on average a day. I'm losing very slowly on that, and that's okay. I'm not in a rush, but I've lost 70 pounds, and I'm pretty proud of myself. I mean, I'm noticing too that because of losing so much, I've got a lot of loose skin, especially around my face, even though I'm using retinol gel to help smooth it a bit, but it's not perfect by any means. But you know
Hmm.
what? I have to change my mind frame about that, because I've gotta wear it like a badge of honor. Like, 70 pounds is nothing to sneeze at, and, I also have to say I'm very happy to announce that my blood sugar has been absolutely perfect for about 18 months. My
Oh, yeah,
A1C is
that's
just
great.
over 5 now. It was 9 when I was diagnosed.
Mm.
But not anymore. I mean, I feel good. I had actually dental surgery, back in almost a month ago now, and, they checked my blood sugar, and it was 4.6, which is like 82 and a half.
Oh,
um
yeah, that's,
So,
that's
I
right in the normal
healed.
range, right?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
healed extremely well, so I'm like, it's working.
Hmm.
So, I mean, here's the thing. This is what I like to tell people about how to think about Ozempic. Ozempic doesn't do the work for you, and I think this is where a lot of the judgment comes in, like taking the easy way out. No, it's not really taking the easy way out. You're using a tool that helps you. It's
Mhm.
like using AI, okay? Using AI to come up with some like outlines for your writing work. You're not letting it take over your creativity. You're letting it help you. It's a tool like Ozempic, right? So,
That's quite a 70 pounds, that's quite a bit.
yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
a small child or a large kid. That's
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Depending on the age, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like, so I lost 50 pounds, but I did that mostly with carnivore and fasting and being very, very strict with myself. And I used my work schedule as a tool on that.
Mhm.
If I hadn't had the kind of job I have, that would have been a lot harder because I was working, you know, I would line it up so that there was no access to food. Like I did things like that. But
Mhm.
then I backslid 3 or 4 times in there and then managed to lose it again. So it's not a for me, it's been a pretty hard road.
Yeah.
Same thing, I was using basically I found tools that worked for me, but they won't work for other people necessarily, right? It depends on what exactly your triggers are and what foods you might be addicted to. And for me, uh, I wonder if what it would have done for me. But because my big problem is I get comfort for being stuffed full.
Okay.
That's where I'm at, right? That's where the binging comes in. Is that when I'm
Yeah.
really
Oh.
stressed, if I can fill right up, then that's like putting on a blanket,
Oh, I
kind of.
see.
So
Mhm.
and then, but we have to think what causes us to, um, what triggers you for food? Like what is the things that were the biggest problems for you?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I was an extreme people pleaser for so many years. And the thing is, when you're sacrificing yourself to do things for others because you're so desperate to be liked, you're going to need to find comfort somehow. You're going to need to find your needs met somehow. So unfortunately, I turned to food. And I think this is a very common story. I mean, that was
Mhm.
my story. Other people have other stories. I mean, if you watch my 600-pound life, I mean, that is an extreme,
Mhm.
that's an extreme situation there. But you see a lot of stories are like, well, I had extreme trauma, so food was the only thing that gave me comfort, kind of thing.
Yep.
So it's an emotional need that food can give you. But the thing is that once you really work on yourself, I mean, I've had to go for therapy too and everything, right? Once you have the tools that work for you, therapy, Ozempic, and all that, you start to really put the pieces together and say, "Oh, yeah, this was very toxic. It was a toxic dependence, right?" I mean, I think everyone's got their own story about it. And yeah, there are some trigger foods that I absolutely do not touch. I will not touch certain foods like Nutella. I've actually banned
Oh,
it from the
really?
house, okay?
I it
Um,
there's I went in a mall because it's cold here, so I went to a
oh
mall
yeah.
to go for a walk, right? Walking around and there's a Nutella restaurant in
Oh,
that mall.
no.
Like just that's all I have is
No, that's no, I'm walking right past that. No, thank you. You know?
so
Yeah.
but I've heard that before that if you're on one of these drugs, because it affects your brain quite a bit, just as
Yeah.
much as your stomach,
Yeah.
that things will come up. and some people it goes dark because they don't do the work maybe, or maybe they don't have the resources to go get. Maybe they even can't afford a counselor or whatever, or they don't go to the right one, or um,
Yeah. And the thing is, that's why I got into, I mean, I've always been a writer, but I really started harnessing my writing because I found that to be a comfort too. I mean, back in the day while I was really dealing with the thick of it when I started Ozempic, it's like, okay, well, I've got to do something with all of this. So I was actually writing on Medium a lot. I mean, Medium no longer writing on there. I think we all know the story there, and I'm not gonna. I don't want to digress
mm,
here, but anyway, um, yeah. But this is the thing. I think once you see that, oh, I'm not hungry and I don't really want food. What do I do with all this? I mean, sure, I was there, but I think this is a very common story. But I mean, the thing is that some people go on Ozempic or Mounjaro or any of those drugs and they think it's just a quick fix. They think, okay, well, this
yeah,
is going to solve my problems. But the truth is, no, it doesn't. It's a tool. And the thing is, if you're relying on a tool to do all the work, you're in for a rude awakening.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not a quick fix. I accidentally turned my laptop on because I was looking for a
Oh, that
statistic
what that
there.
was?
That was
Okay.
what that noise was.
Okay.
I was trying to find the statistics for obesity, and because I posted them earlier. So it's not a quick fix,
No.
but a lot of people they're having trouble dealing with the food problems, right? They're having trouble losing the weight. So
Yeah.
say you weigh the pros and cons, and you think, okay, diabetes or the risks of this drug, because there is side effects. There's things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but diabetes, you could end up going blind later on.
Yeah. Yep.
You could amputations. Like I have an aunt that passed away because of an amputation
Oh,
from
no.
diabetes. And apparently, the statistics show that if you have extreme diabetes, you're going to lose 15 years of your lifespan. So,
Yep. I know.
um, and not only that, but uh, your quality of life goes down so much. So, and then like I know you've written about uh, perception in public when you're larger, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yes.
some of that has to do with how people look at you, but some of that has to do with how you feel about yourself too. When I was
Yeah.
40,
I
50 pounds overweight, I felt like a loser. So everywhere you go, you're
yeah.
giving off that vibe. So
You do.
and,
Yeah, it's
and
true.
nothing's going to go right when you feel
No,
like that.
that's true.
So, like weighing the pros and cons, like I know what your opinion is on that. And I just ask anybody that is listening or going to read this stuff later that maybe think about it, because like originally was really judgmental about the drugs
Mhm.
because that's what we're programmed to be.
Mm.
We're it's pounded into our head that you have to basically struggle and really try hard, and willpower, and like you said in your one article there, relentless grinding at the gym.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an idea that people have, and it doesn't work anyway, because I was
No.
doing all those things and I was still way overweight while doing those things. So I don't know what would you what kind of message would you have for people about that kind of stuff?
Well, I think the thing is that okay, there's so much to unpack here. I think the thing is that whenever someone is wanting to better themselves and losing weight, you gotta you can't judge them for what they choose. I mean, some are gonna go on Ozempic or whatever. Some are gonna go through a gastric bypass. And I mean, I looked into it. That just terrified me. And yeah, I mean, the thing is too, is that you also, when you are making a decision, say that, okay, I'm like 50 whatever pounds overweight and I've got to do something about this, but I don't have the time to grind myself at the gym and willpower alone isn't going to work. Well, no, you don't need to do any of that. I haven't even stepped foot into the gym once. I do walk. I take my dog for a walk every morning. I try to literally fidget to burn calories because my job is quite sedentary, unfortunately, but I just got to work with what I have. But I think the thing is that when you're looking to lose weight, you can't just do something. Like, don't don't slap yourself on like a ridiculously low calorie diet. Like, don't do that. I would say talk to your doctor and say, okay, this is what I want to lose weight. I'd like to get some information, say on a GLP-1 medication or anything else that can, help me out. So get all the information that you need. Be informed about whatever side effects. I was actually quite fortunate. I didn't have any real bad side effects from Ozempic. I know a lot of people have, but luckily I didn't.
Mhm.
So I'm lucky about that. And I also want to mention too is that if you want to lose weight, you have to do it because you really want to, not because what you want other people to. You don't want to do it for
Yeah,
other
not
people.
not because you don't wanna it's not because you wanna look good naked or whatever
No.
crazy reason people have in their head, yeah. It
Yeah.
it
So,
like, especially, and I know we chatted before about, healthy at any size,
oh my God, that's a
which,
whole other discussion.
so that
That's
anybody that's thinking about these drugs and is thinking, well, it doesn't really matter. You're just doing it to look good, or you don't know. Obesity is a big risk,
oh yeah.
uh,
No, no, no.
like a health
Don't.
risk, like heart disease, diabetes,
Mhm.
all the metabolic things that go wrong. It's not just about appearance.
No, my goodness. I mean, there's diabetes. My father's diabetic too, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, even though I'm technically diabetic, my levels are like a non-diabetic. They're in the non-diabetic range, and I'd like to keep it that way because I feel pretty good. I want to keep my limbs. I want to keep my eyesight. I remember last summer when I saw my endocrinologist.
Hmm.
She said to me, she wanted to test my feet. She goes, "You're feeling everything in your feet." I'm like, yeah. I said, like, this was last summer, right? So
Yep.
of course that I didn't always have my socks on or whatever in the house, and it's like, well, I feel my dog's nose rubbing against my foot. So yeah, she goes, he's a good tester. He's a good, or that's good confirmation. I'm like, oh, well, let me tell you, the other night I stubbed my toe and I just hurled out a few profanities. So there you go. you know, yeah, yeah.
So you haven't had very many side effects, you saying? Like,
No,
do you know what some of them are? Other
yeah,
than,
well, I only had, like, some heartburn and constipation. That was it, and, but I know there's nausea, vomiting, and I'm a metaphobic, so thank goodness I
oh yeah.
didn't have any of that because I was actually pretty, worried about that, but luckily it didn't happen, right? Nausea, vomiting, in some rare cases, pancreatitis, but that's rare. What other side effects are there? I mean, some say that your mental health could take a turn for the worse, but I didn't
Mhm.
find that at all, right? Some say that. Um, yeah, I mean, there could be some others, like maybe some hair loss, but that also could come from under eating as well, right? So
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
that's true. Like, anytime that you lose a lot of weight, you can have some issues, like, uh, with like lack of circulation, feeling cold. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
I felt really cold when I was fasting all the time.
yeah,
Uh, Loss of hair, well, didn't
yeah.
affect me any. But
Yeah, no, that's unfortunately when you start to go into a caloric deficit, that's going to be expected
yeah.
anyway. And I mean, I've been through it so many times, so when it happened again, it's like, yeah, well, I know the drill, basically. You know what I mean? But you do adjust to that, so yeah. So
So
yeah.
have you heard of the weight set point? As in, your
Oh, the
body
weights.
thinks, yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm buying that. You know what I mean? I mean, I do think there may be a bit of grain of truth to that, but because I think your body does tend to want to get to a certain point that it is familiar with, but I think those in the, say, fat acceptance movement use that as an excuse.
Oh yeah.
But it's not like your body's adaptable. You know what I mean? Your body's adaptable, and I can imagine that, or I mean, I know that the set point does move. It
Mhm.
moves, right? It moves. I mean, I do believe though that you may be predisposed to being overweight and whatever, or maybe underweight. You have the predisposition.
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that you
Right.
have to be that way. Like, the thing is, I'm not looking to be quote unquote thin. I mean, and
Yeah.
I know that's just not who I am, and that's not what I want. I just want to be healthy. I want to be, I want to look good. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not here to be quote unquote thin. That's not what this is about. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I mean, I'm actually naturally large framed and muscular, so that's why a 1,200 calorie diet just wouldn't work for me. I've got to go higher than that
Oh
because,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
But that's also why I'm not meant to be quote unquote thin because I'm just, a little thick, if you will, right? And that's okay.
Well,
There's nothing wrong with that. Um,
well, with
but
genetics, so that if you're a person that gains weight easily, that's actually a good survival trait in the past,
yeah, I
because that
guess
would
so.
mean that you if famine came along, you'd be one of the ones that had a little extra weight, so then you'd be the
Yeah.
one that would make it, whereas a skinny guy
Yep.
might not.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's a good point. I mean, this is the thing, though. If we want to talk about the fat acceptance movement, they use that as an excuse, though. It's
oh,
like,
do they?
well, I'm 400 pounds because of genetics. Well, I'm sorry, genetics aren't going to make you 400 pounds. Okay.
No, no, that
Mm.
would probably be our modern diet has a lot to do with it,
Oh, yeah, for
because
sure.
the food's engineered to. So I read somewhere that the average person is eating 500 extra calories a day
Yeah.
because of the processed food,
Yeah. I believe
and
it.
I,
Yeah,
I could see that
100%.
for sure.
Yeah, I believe that. And I mean, as you know that I wrote in my tarot thing there about the nine of cups and the devil card and how I compared those two cards to drinking your calories, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so that's another thing that I think is important to touch on as well because people are definitely consuming extra calories, and I think a lot of it is due to drinking calories. I mean, when I have my coffee in the morning, I don't put anything in it. I've adapted to black coffee, you know? And
yeah,
I like it. I don't put any cream or anything in it. And I don't need to. But, the thing is there's a lot of people who, okay, I'm cutting my calories, but then they have a coffee and they put
yeah,
all this sugar, all this cream, like, well, then why am I not losing weight? Well, maybe that's why.
yeah. Do, can you see Danny's question there?
Oh, what's the end goal when you get to your goal weight? We'll continue to take. Oh, yes, I absolutely will take it. I mean, I think I should probably on a lower dose, but I will continue to take it because it's for my blood sugar too. I want to keep my blood sugar in check. I mean, I probably would be able to manage it myself. If I ever do decide to wean off of it, I would obviously have to talk to my endocrinologist and I'd have to monitor myself more. But right now,
Yeah,
I would probably continue on with it and I'll see. I mean, I haven't really it's more of those I'll cross that bridge when I get there kind of thing, but I probably will end up staying on some sort of dose, probably a lower dose anyway, so
hmm,
mm.
yeah. I guess the jury's kind of out on what the long term is going to be here
Yeah.
with using it for weight loss. Like, it's been around for a while with diabetes.
Mhm.
They do have some research on that, but they haven't used it specifically to keep weight off. So they weren't looking at it for that. So I don't know. Is there long term effects? We don't know that yet.
Well,
Um,
this is the thing, right?
but
I mean, the thing is, it's one of those situations where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't,
yeah,
because you could end up with serious effects from diabetes, which I certainly want to avoid at all costs. But then there could be other issues with taking Ozempic for a
yeah,
long time. So it's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? So
yeah. The one podcast I was listening to, the guy had said, um, if your house is on fire, and the reason it's on fire is because the building materials were poor, or whatever reasons. First thing you do is you put the house out, like you put the fire out. Then you worry about rebuilding the house. So,
yep,
he was saying the drug is like putting the fire out. You worry about
yeah,
that. You do that first because you have to get your health under control. And if you're in a situation where you're not doing it on your own, like you're not using the willpower to do it for whatever reason,
yeah.
and everybody's circumstances are different, right?
Hmm.
Our challenges aren't equal. So, um, what one guy is all set up to do with willpower or whatever, the next guy will just not be able to do. It's just
Mhm.
not in the cards, right? Like different
Mm.
different life circumstances, different genetics,
Yeah.
different environment, basically. Uh,
Yeah, for sure, for
I
sure.
mean, some people, if they moved to a place where there was no processed food and all there was sardines, for instance, they'd probably lose quite a bit of weight
Yeah.
because um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though, I mean, I obviously everyone's got to do what works best for them. Some want to
yeah,
go cut carnivore, some want to go keto. I personally don't. I personally don't want to avoid anything because I find even though it's slower, it's very sustainable for me, and I'll keep it off right in the end. Um, I mean, that said, it means though that I do prioritize the nutrient dense foods. I do eat carbs, complex carbs, but what I always do is if I'm going to have a carb, I make sure I have a protein and fiber with it.
okay,
And that is very good for your blood sugar too. Um, does that mean that I never eat cookies or cake or anything like that? No, I still fit it in,
hmm,
but it's all about budgeting. You have a calorie budget. Say if I'm not as active on a certain day and I want to stick to 1500 because on the days that I'm a little more active, I go up to 17, right? But
okay,
say for instance, if I'm a little more sedentary on a particular day and I set my budget to 1500 and I consumed about 1300 of nutrient dense foods, but it's like, well, I kind of want a bit of a sweet treat. So as long as it's under 200 calories, why not, right? And I mean, that's the other thing. I rarely do get any kind of sugar craving. I don't, but I mean, I still get a sweet tooth here and there. And
hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that. I actually do have a small piece of dark chocolate every night, and you know, it's there's nothing wrong with that at all.
So you are doing things as well as the Ozempic, like that
Mhm.
shows. Um, you know, it's not just I'll just take this shot and then I'll just lie back and you'll do its job
No,
and
you
stuff.
can't do that. That's where people get into trouble. That's where people get into trouble because no, 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 no. You got to do the work. Ozempic's a tool. This is the
Mhm.
thing. I think this is where the misconception is. It's a tool. It's not magic.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can't just take the
no.
shop and then have some craft dinner and
No.
and
Oh God, I wouldn't even touch that with a 10-foot pole. But anyway, no. So this is the thing. When you're on Ozempic, once it's really in your system, you're not even going to want any of that crap. I don't.
Mhm.
You know, if I'm gonna have like some chips, for instance, I actually have my Quest chips. My Quest chips, 140 calories a bag, 19 grams of protein. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
choose
okay.
I'm gonna choose that over Doritos, where
Mhm.
Doritos is a bag of Doritos is 200 calories with only 2 grams of protein. I mean, I try to prioritize my protein because it keeps me fuller and it's good for my muscles. So I don't want to lose muscle. I want to lose fat, right? So
Uh, that was pretty much all I had on my list of things to talk about on this.
yeah, I
It's
know.
does anybody else have
Yo,
any questions?
yeah, my phone is gonna well, it's not dead yet, but it will die very
It
soon.
will.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is the first live I've been on and this is fun. I think we should talk next time about the fat acceptance movement because I'm pretty passionate about that, you know?
We could definitely hit that one up. I
Yeah.
have my thoughts about that. Uh,
Oh. Yeah, oh my god, this could go on forever, but it's a toxic movement. Oh my gosh, it really is. Like health at every size? I don't think so.
yeah, well, I mean, maybe you should have self acceptance at any size. That's fine, but that's different than health. So
Yeah, for sure. But I
those are two
mean,
different things. And I
you
know
got
for a fact that some of us do not accept ourselves when we're
yeah.
overweight. We just don't. I
No.
mean, 40, 50
No.
pounds, and I definitely did not accept how I felt. And
Mhm.
like, I'm not a
Mhm.
big guy, so that just made me feel like a slob everywhere I went. It made me feel like everybody was staring at me. I don't know how
Yeah.
that's healthy. Mentally, it's sure not, right?
No, it's
Probably
not. I
nobody
mean,
was
this is the
paying any
thing.
attention to me at all. It was just another slob walking around. So,
Yeah, and this is the thing too, right? I mean, if you don't accept yourself at all, then you're not going to want to make better changes. That's the thing. But
Yeah,
but I'm talking about the ones that like to promote obesity and all that because um, weight loss is in. Oh yeah, intentional weight loss is fat phobic.
yeah. Well, that's obviously it can't be right. I don't know. It's not about the shape of a person.
No,
So,
no. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about with that. So we can certainly discuss that some other time.
yeah, let's save it for another one.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
well, if
Yeah.
your phone is going to die, maybe we should call it here.
Yeah,
And
I think that's a good idea because
okay,
it's really draining. Like I said, this is the first live and it really does. I'm gonna have to make sure next time I'm like close to 100%. So
oh yeah,
yeah.
okay.
All right.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks. Yeah, thanks for joining me on this, and thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
This was
yeah,
fun. All right. Take care.
yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.